morning, church. As we wrap up this week, our time in the daily word, tying that with our worship series of Keep, Stop, and Start, the question that we have been sharing over this last week has been, what practices do we want to start doing based on something that we have learned or experienced during this strange time, or based on something else that God is uncovering and leading us towards. So the practice that I want to start and that I'd like to share with you, kind of discovered by accident pretty early on during our quarantine time, when everyone was staying home and working from home, and schools were rapidly closed. Both my husband and I were trying to do our full-time jobs from home while all of our kids were there. Our 11-year-old finishing up his 5th grade classwork and that digital backpack, and then our 2 little guys who just, run a little bit amok. So those were some long days before we put some routine in place and figured out a good work-life rhythm. On those long days, there would be many frustrating moments. There were times when that 6:30 bedtime for the little guys could not come soon enough. Someday when they watch this on YouTube, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I love you guys and I'm sorry, but it's true. So some of those long days, the way that I would end up spending the final moments, the final hours of that day, is that I would pick up my phone and I would just be looking at pictures that I had snapped over the course of that day without really thinking about it, just small moments that I took a second to capture. And that ended up being a really powerful gratitude practice for me. Because even in the midst of feeling overwhelmed with all of these responsibilities and things to do and people to care for and expectations to manage, I was able to look back at the end of the day and see that there were moments of beauty, there were moments of grace, there was a lot of love, and there are a lot of ways in which I am insanely and exquisitely blessed. And so I want to start a more intentional gratitude practice going forward from here. And maybe it involves looking at pictures and photographs from the day, towards the end of the day. Maybe it involves journaling. Maybe it involves writing a letter or a note to somebody. But I want to start being intentional about recognizing those things that I'm grateful for. And this makes me think of all of that great tradition in mostly Paul's letters, but those epistles in the New Testament oftentimes will begin with a word of greeting and then a statement of thankfulness. And so in Philippians, the letter that Paul writes to them begins with a great statement of gratitude. And I have to imagine that Paul had a pretty good gratitude practice. So I invite you to hear these words from the first chapter of Philippians. I'm starting with verse 3. I thank my God every time I remember you, constantly praying with joy in every one of my prayers for all of you, because of your sharing in the gospel from the first day until now. I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion by the day of Jesus Christ. It is right for me to think this way about you because you hold me in your heart. Now, here's a side note. Most Bibles will have a small footnote there that say it might have been translated because you hold me in your heart, or it might be translated more accurately as I hold you in my heart. Either way, Paul is reaching out to this community of faith, and friends, to be honest, all of your pastors feel this way about you too. You are our family, and we are insanely grateful for you, that we bear each other in our hearts. I'm going to continue. It is right for me to think this way about all of you, because you hold me in your heart, I hold you in my heart. For all of you share in God's grace with me. Friends, as we reflect on those practices that sustain us and nurture us, I encourage you to take up a practice of gratitude, because God has been faithful in these difficult days, and we are not alone in all that we go through. I hope these words carry you throughout your day. Share your gratitude practices with me, and know, again, that I'm grateful for you. God bless you.